Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parabrahman, Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha. Sadashiva Samarambham, Shankaracharya Madhyamam, Asmadacharya Paryandam, Vande Guru Paramparam. Om Sagnavavadu, Sagnapunaktu, Sakavidyam Karabhavahai, Tejasvina Vadidamustama Vatvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Good morning to you. So I thought it will be nice to conclude what we started 42 weeks before. It was really frightening when I was asked to support the learning on Vedanta, because how could such a wonderful science, which is imparted only by the noble and learned ones, that too with the very strict paramparya of the gurus, how could I, with the limited knowledge, impart? But the fear is more towards the risk of viparita jnana, because Vedanta is like a Swiss knife with so many sharp corners. So, in fact, it is also an injunction there. Basically, you have to learn it from one who has the quality to do it. It is like a Mahaprasadam prepared very religiously and offered to the God and to the great people. But then, even the Mahaprasadam, when it is thrown to the birds, when a crow goes and eats it, it just can't resist. It just calls everybody else to come and share it. So like that, only I would say that whatever the little that I'm able to share, we started that one. And because we did Tattvabodha, and of course we did very, very in a limited way, but it is good enough to have a sufficient amount of vocabulary, if not complete knowledge, or at least some toolkits to understand the most profound Shantipada. Because had we not done this Tattvabodha, had we not used these technical terms that we may be using it, and if I have to start all from the beginning to start with this particular Shantipada, it will be very difficult. That's why I thought maybe the timing is right, since we all know these words. If we introduce a Shantipada, which is so profound and so peace-giving. In fact, someone said, a Mahatma said, may all these Vedas and scriptures go, doesn't matter, as long as this one particular Shantipada remains. So such a profound Shantipada. Therefore, many of you may already know it, know the meaning of it, but for the completion of it, I just wanted to give my understanding. Of course, I take the majesty of Bhagavan Shankara's interpretation. And there are so many Mahatmas talked about it. So I'm sure that you will all go out and find and learn more and more so that we improve on it. So with that forewarning, so let's take the mantram. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnam Udachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Avasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Of course, when you say it together and the pronunciation slightly differ. So let us understand this Shantipada. We had an opportunity before to talk about another Shantipada. That's Doma Satkamaya. Therefore, we already talked about what does Shantipada means. Just now also we talked about in the Gita session, Adhyatmika, Adidevika, Dibhautika. I'm sure you're going to learn more about those things. So here the Shanti is not peace. Of course, peace is a fine translation. Here it means nivritti. Nivritti means dispel, remove, free from, cut asunder. So Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Let there be nivritti. Of course, nivritti from the samsara, from the grief, from the three different domains of experiences that we go through. Adhyatmikam, Adibhautikam, Adidaivikam. Self-effort, external interferences, and the divine interventions. So let's not, we talked about it before. So this Shanti Pada therefore is for nivritti. It's also called Upanishadic prayers. Prayers, prarthana, is for asking the divine intervention and help. Again, we talked about the prarthanas, many types of prarthana. Seeking something. When you seek something, when you get something from the God, you pay back to him as a nirtik kadan. You do that. Or nothing asking for, you just worship God. You are so beautiful, Ataram, Maturam, Maturadipate. We just enjoy, that's also fine. But there are the Upanishad worships where you just not ask for things. Of course, when you say Sagana Vavadu, Sagana Upanaktu, we ask for nourishment for both the teacher and the student. Om Bhatram Karne Vishnunama. When you talk about it, we ask for good hearing, good health. So there are also asking in the Upanishad prayer, but there are also declaration. We simply state what the Upanishads say, Upanishad essence say, because Upanishad is Veda, Veda is Brahman, Brahman is God. So Veda Vakyam, Veda Rasam is worship of God. Therefore, there are certain Upanishad prayers, such as this one. It is not asking for anything. It is not pricing anything. It is stating the fact of Vedas. This is in the part of the Shukla Yajurveda. We briefly touched about different types of Vedic sagas. So the Shukla Yajurveda, in the Isavasya Upanishad, the very first Upanishad the Shankara comments, it starts with the Shanti Pada. Imagine the disciple is, after getting the Adhigaratvam, go to the Guru, teach me the Vedanta Jnanam. Teacher say, okay, I'm going to teach you Upanishad. Let's start with the first one. And he start with this, Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate. If you have some linguistic knowledge of this Sanskrit verse, if you know the meaning, literal meaning, you will run away. Enough is enough. This is such a utter confusion. But this is the essence of Vedanta. The same mantra is also coming in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, which is a very beautiful Upanishad. Shankara states as if it is the most important Upanishad of the most important tense. But in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, it comes as I think it's the fourth kanda called Kilakanda. It comes as the first mantra. Not only as a Shanti Pada, it becomes as a part of the Upanishad mantra itself. Maybe that's the reason, I do not know. Shankara normally doesn't write much about Shanti Pada. He says just few lines. He doesn't even write much about this in Isavasya Upanishad. But in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, he spends 8, 9, 10 pages so majestically, beautifully. So therefore it is a very, very interesting mantra. So the Purnam word has come 7 times. So let's just take the meaning of the word Purnam. Then we just use the word Purnam across this sloga so that we will have this resonance of Purnam in us. So Purnam in Sanskrit means many, many meanings. Complete, all-encompassing, perfect in all shapes and form, fulfilled, whole. You can invent so many of them to just define the same thing. Limitless. So Purnam, Sampurnam, everything means everything is there. So I just picked up, anyone we can take it for this vichara. I just picked up limitless. So what is limitless means? Limitless means, we saw in the Vedanta session before, a thing can be limited by space. Anything that is limiting us is called parichedaka. Parichedaka means limited. Kala parichedam means time limited. Desha parichedam, space limited. Vastu parichedam, attributes, object limited. For example, a book is a book, a computer is a computer. Because the definition of book, the attributes of book differentiates the book from the computer. Same way, space limited. I am sitting here in my house. Okay, I may be virtually present to you, but I'm not sitting next to you in your place. Therefore, I am limited by space. I am here, you are there. Time, I am at now 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, I am in this class. I can't be in the shop at the same time. So you can see everything in this world is therefore not limitless. So, but here we are talking about something which is limitless. That means space cannot limit it, time cannot limit it, attributes cannot limit it. Is there something like that? We would have an answer because we've gone through 42 weeks of this. So if there is something which is beyond the time and space and objectification, because it cannot have boundaries. But the moment you put a boundary, there is a figure comes out. A 2-dimensional boundary, 3-dimensional boundary, n-dimensional boundaries. The boundary means a form. Form means limited. Therefore, we can add another objective here. Purnam is therefore formless. So we are talking about something formless, limitless, complete, all-compassing, perfect, fulfilled, whole. What is that? We know that's Brahman. This is what we learned. Brahman is, there is no quarrel on this by all Vedantic schools. So don't worry about it. This is an assertion. Brahman is Purnam. I do not know it because it's not knowable. I can't see it, not seeable. I can't think about it because it's not thinkable. But it is Purnam, Sampurnam, Paripurnam. Therefore, I assign a number 1 to this. So this may be an equation we got. Brahman is Purnam. So it's just a definition statement, axiom. There's no need to prove this because this is the Shruti Pramanam. Right. Then what happened now? This slogam is using this word Purnam and saying Purnamada, Purnamidam, Purnat, Purnamudachyate, Purnasya, Purnamadaya, Purnam eva avasishyate. So it is talking about Purnam in so many words. So what is it saying? So let us take one line at a time. Om Purnamadaha Purnam Idam. Om, we need a whole life to talk about Om. The whole Upanishad talks about Om. But here we can take Om as a Brahman. Formless, nameless, Nirguna Brahman, Paripurna Brahman. That's why whenever we do any mantras, Krishnaya Namaha, Krishna comes to our mind with the enchanting face. Ganeshaya Namaha, Ganesha comes to our mind. Shivaya Namaha, Shiva comes to the mind. But then we realize, Veda says, well, this is a step towards the Parabrahman. You took a Ishta Devata, whoever form you like it, whatever name you like it. But you must tell that ritual to say, I am seeing through you the Parabrahman. Therefore, what I am offering you goes to the Brahman. The Brahman's name is, there's no name to it, Om. That's why we say, Om Krishnaya Namaha, Om Ganeshaya Namaha. So always remember, Om is very important because Om is a Parabrahman. There is no way that we can go away from this because all worships, all we do is to the Parabrahman. So there is no argument. So we don't explain Om anymore. Om is there. Purnam Adaha, Purnam Idam. Let's just keep Purnam as it is. You know what the Purnam means. Adaha and Idam. Adaha means that is a pronoun. That. Idam means this. Therefore, it translates to Om. Purnam is that. Purnam is this. Okay. We thought Purnam is only one. Now he's telling me Purnam is that and Purnam is this. Then Purnat Purnam Udachyate. Purnat, it's a it's an ablative case. From. It's so beautiful, the language is Purnat Purnam. From the Purnam, Purnam came in. Udayachade means came out, fall out. Okay, it's a bit confusing to us. We thought, well, there's only one Purnam. No, from the Purnam, there's another Purnam comes out. Okay. The third sentence is Purnasya Purnam Adaya. What does it mean? Again, it's playing with the two words. The Purnam is taken Purnasya. Purnam Adaya. Adaya means segregated, removed, identified, isolated. When the Purnam is taken from the Purnam, okay, if Purnam is without one, but then it says Purnam is this and that, then it says from the Purnam you take the Purnam, because Purnam came from Purnam, you take the Purnam from the Purnam. I'm sorry, I'm confusing you, but that's how it is. So what happened? Purnam eva avasishyate. Avasishyate means residue, remain. Eva means only. Purnam eva avasishyate. So now you combine these two. From the Purnam, when the Purnam is taken out, isolated, Purnam alone remains. Before we can ask the question, what is it about? Mantra finishes, Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. So may the trouble all go. But we have trouble. If Purnam is that limitless, boundless, infinite, then we know in mathematics, we know there can be only one infinity. How can there be infinity here and infinity there? If somebody asks a question, what is infinity divided by infinity? You can't answer that. Because there cannot be two infinity. But he says there are two infinities. And you take infinity, one infinity give birth to another infinity. One Purnam give birth to another Purnam. Paradoxical. Then you take something out of this Purnam. But we literally know when you take something out of something, what you've taken out is not complete. From where you took it out, that cannot be complete anymore, is it not? Because you take out something. So all the laws of physics fail here. And if you take out something, it says that's also Purna. So therefore, the Vachyartham, the literal meaning of this mantra, is not useful. You remember, we can go to a next step of Lakshyartham when the Vachyartham is not helping. Therefore, we have the liberty and Adhikaratvam to stop the Vachyartham at a place and take the Vachyartham evolved Lakshyartham. For that, we need to go to the Gurus. So Shankara, he gives another definition for Purna. He says, not Kritshit Vyavritam. Vyavritam means a difference. That which doesn't limit. For example, if I am walking towards you, I want to see you now, I walk straight, I hit the wall. I said, no, there's a wall there. Why? Because wall is different from me. I can't penetrate the wall. I can't go across the wall. So I have to return back. Vyavritam. Vyavriti means just distinct, out, different. Heterogeneous. Heterogeneous means made out of different things, not one thing. So a Purnam is one which has no limitation, no opposition. It just passed through everything. Because this is interesting to have that perspective as well, because we're talking about taking out and all that. If you stick with the one definition of all pervasive, complete, it can't move from one place to another. It's all fulfilling. Where is space to move? Everything is filled. And so therefore here, this mantra is for us to understand, not for those jnanis, for us to understand, because we are Dvaitis. We see differences in everything. What is difference? This and that. That's a difference. We see this and that. That's the reason why it says Purnam, the complete principle, you are seeing it as this and that. Dvaitam. So now you can really understand, it is now going to take you towards the Advaitam of the Upanishad Rasa. But not ignoring the indispensable duality, because remember, in the Vyavaharika Satyam, we have to deal with difference. There is no conflict. We do not negate differences. Differences are essential. But differences is only temporal. That's the difference. So Advaitam is not against any school of thought, but it is taking you beyond that path. Okay. So let us take the pronouns, that and this. So we know what Purnam is. We saw other words. Since it is given this and that, they are pronouns, so we need to really put something assigned to this. No sentence is meaningful if you say this is something. So you must say, what is this? So what do we know in this world? The world we know. I'm not going to say every object in the world. I'm going to put everything, because we are talking about Vedanta summary. So the whole world is an object I can see. So that is a candidate to go into the pronouns. Then what else is there? Don't forget ourselves, the Jiva. So I got two now, Jiva and Jagat. Therefore, I can play with this to this and that. But wait a minute. We talked about an Ishvara, because we were very rational in our mind. Everything got a cause and effect. Jiva and Jagat cannot be there on its own. There must be Ishvara. So we have created an Ishvara as well. Therefore, there's an Ishvara representing the Brahman, but as a creator role, creates the Jiva and Jagat, and we say all this is real, therefore this and that exist. So now we are taking a step back and resolving this to get a unified position. So therefore we got two variables, this and that, on which we got three related entities, Ishvara, Jiva, and Jagat. Three entities mean there are three relationships, Ishvara and Jiva, Ishvara and Jagat, Jiva and Jagat. Now, understand, why do we say this for something and that for something? This we say because it is indicating a proximity to you, nearness to you, knowledge to you, seen or seeable, known or knowable. That is this. But something which is not near, something remote, something not known or maybe not currently known, we use the phrase that, is it not? Therefore, we can do some filtering now. So I got this and that. Ishvara, somehow, at least for me, at the lowest of evolution right now, I can't really put Ishvara to be here. For me, Ishvara is still somewhere far away. I have not seen him, not known him. So Ishvara fits into that. There's a logic there. Therefore, if I have to use this one, I got a placeholder for Ishvara. You go to that place. Jagat, I know it. I'm there somewhere. As long as I am in this body and mind and intellect, I'm in this world. I can't be outside the world. Therefore, world can never be that. It is always this. Is it not? Therefore, I can say Jagat is also got a placeholder, this. Jiva is tricky. Why tricky? I know I am this body. Well, then it is that. This, I can see it. Wait a minute, but I have gone through this Tattva Bodha. I am not this body. I am not this Panchakosha. I am beyond it. I am the consciousness principle. I am something else. I do not know what it is. So it looks like to me remote. Okay, that means I can put Jiva as in that. Okay, Jiva goes to two places, this and that. So we got all our tool set ready now. This and that, two placeholders, three variables, Ishvara, Jiva, and Jagat. Therefore, I can take Ishvara, Jiva relationship. Ishvara is that, Jiva is this. Or I can say Ishvara and Jagat relationship. Ishvara is that, Jiva is this. So Jagat is this. Or I can take Jiva and Jagat relationship. Here, I am fixed. Jagat has to be this. Therefore, Jiva can take that role. So which one I should take to resolve it? You can take anyone to resolve it, because all going to come back to the same proof. So we are going to take one. We take Ishvara and Jiva relationship, and we try to go through it. Please don't think it is some sort of a rational mathematical equation. No. I'm just making it simple to understand. When you have Shraddha, when you have this Guru's grace, it's all be there for you. And also do not worry if you don't understand anything, but just open your heart. Let it be a seed planted on your heart. It will grow by itself. But please try to follow it so that it is very interesting and useful. So we take this. Now we are going to talk about the Jiva and Ishvara. Purnam is already given. Now we need to take this to the prepositions, pronouns. So Purnam Adaha. So I say Adaha is Ishvara. Therefore, Ishvaraha is Purnam. Simple statement. So, this is something what this sloga says, I have not accepted yet. I have not proven it yet. Then I take the next phrase, Purnam Idam. So I put here, Idam is this, Jiva is Purnam. So I got the second one. But this is untenable. Ishvara, whom you worship every day, the ultimate, he is also the Purnam. I, the Jiva, is Purnam. Impossible. Untenable. Two Purnams cannot exist. Equation is somewhere invalid. We are worried. But at least we have constructed the problem correctly. So therefore, we need to prove this. Jiva is Brahman, Ishvara is Brahman, because Brahman is Purna in equation 1. So to prove this, we need to go to the next sentence. But before we go there, the Acharya has given us some simple steps. This is what the beauty about Vedanta, because it is not just pure diction, dogma. You apply logic, apply the logic of the tool that you use. Purnam in the grammar. You see, why language is important place? Because end of the day, we communicate the truth in words. Therefore, the words have to be perfect. The language have to be perfect. The grammar have to be perfect. So here it says, Purnam, Ishvaraha Purnam, Jivaha Purnam. But Purnam is a Napumsaka lingam, neutral gender. In Sanskrit grammar, like in any language, there are 3 genders, masculine, feminine, and inert. So Purnam is neutral gender. Therefore, what we can do, we could actually change the right side of the equation also in the same gender form, to the same gender form, instead of using that, like, human or humanity, you can say, a person or a personality. It's not. Same way, here a tattvam is the intelligent principle, conscious principle. So we take that one, Ishvaraha becomes Ishvara Tattvam. Ishvara Tattvam is Purnam. So 2 becomes 2a. Same way, Jivaha becomes Jiva Tattvam. So now we have taken a slightly a better equation, grammatically correct. So instead of proving 2 and 3, we can prove 2a and 3a. Ishvara Tattvam is Purnam, Jiva Tattvam is Purnam. We still have these complications about multiple Purnams and one Purnam giving birth to another Purnam. So we had to resolve it. But we are refining the problem. You see, in problem solving, one of the mistakes we do in life, as well as business and work, once the problem is given, we look for a solution outside the problem. You will never find it. Every problem is pregnant with a solution. The pregnancy is so discreet. The Maya is hiding the thing. Avarana Shakti is hiding it. Therefore, to solve the problem, you deal with the problem. Redefine the problem. So we are redefining the problem. So we got this now. So now let's take the next sentence. Purnat Purnam Udachyate. Here, Purnat is an ablative case I was telling before, from the Purnam. Udachyate, Udachyate, Udrichyate, Udgachyate. There are a lot of words you can use, means came out of it, dropped out of it, all that. So, what is coming out of what? Here, we know the Vachyartham is not helping. So we take the Lakshyartham. We put the first one, whatever we assigned for Adaha. First one is Purnam, that is Ishvara. So from the Purnam means from the Ishvara or Ishvara Tattvam, comes the Purnam, comes from that, this comes. From Ishvara, the Jiva comes. Well, this has no problem for us because this is the very assumption we started the Ishvara. We created the Ishvara. Everything needs a cause. The cause is Ishvara. Ishvara created the Jiva and Jagat. Everything is like this from the day one. That's what we've been taught. In the duality, that is very evident. Therefore, this is basically having the same statement in a riddled form. So I have no problem with the statement anymore. Purnat Purnamudechade means from Ishvara comes the Jiva. Because now you're talking about the Jiva Ishvara relationship, we can just ignore the Jagat. Of course, if you want to have a homework, you can apply the other two and later you can work out this for yourself. So this looks interesting. Okay, this is a statement. The language is paradoxical, but I'm still worried about having this Purnat Purnam. How could a Purnam comes out of a Purnam? Because now I go back to the Purnam definition. I just drop the Ishvara and Jagat, the logical part of it, because Jiva becomes unlimited being. I have no problem. A limited Jiva comes out of this Ishvara. But here it talks about the Purnam comes out of it. How can a completeness give birth to another completeness? So we take some example first, and then we come back to the abstraction. You look at this water drops comes in. A water creates, a ripple creates a wave. When you look at this innermost wave, it is circle, perfect. What the Pascal's law say, it goes in all directions at the same speed and direction. So it is eucanimous, omnipresence. It expands direct in all directions, exactly same speed, same time. Of course, leaving all the wind factors and everything. Don't worry about that. So it is in a limited way. We are just example here. Each ripple is completely Purnam. When one goes in, that one creates another one, another one, another one. If you keep on watching the ripple, it's like a meditation. It keeps on coming. You don't know where it is coming from. But the first ripple breeds ripples after ripples after ripples after ripple. And everything is Purna. When you take an instant of a ripple, it is Purna. Well, this is just an example. Yes, it is an example. Example to say, don't be dumbfounded or totally resistive to a statement, Purnam comes from the Purnam. So therefore, it is possible. Now, how do we take the possibility to a potentiality of our completeness? So therefore, our skepticism is gone. We don't run away from this mantra. The logic plays a role. Purnat Purnam is perfectly fine. When I put the Ishvara Jiva is perfectly fine. But I still have the niggle about Jiva being limited, Jagat being limited compared to Ishvara. Therefore, I still carry the doubt, but I can move forward. This sentence also given me, therefore, an indicator, whereas the first sentence was simply Purnamata, Adaha Purnamidam. That is Purnam, this is Purnam. Like a Siddhanta, a statement. But here, it's an action. Something comes out of something. Which means I have to look at the cause and effect. It's indicating that. So for that, we go to the next sentence. So I'm going to now leverage on our discussions before in class 13 or 14. We talked about the Karana-Karya impact. We know Brahman is all creating everything. He's the first cause and final cause. I am an effect. Effect is Karyam. Jivaha is a Karyam. So Brahman is the Adharam and I am a Karyam. If I can say Brahman plus Karyam is Jivaha. But an effect a karyam is actually just an appearance of the cause. The appearance may not be like a cause, but it is an appearance of the cause. It gains a nama, rupa, vastu, gunas. How does it get that? Because it is conditioned by some X factor. The X factor we called it, if you remember, upati. Upati is a limiting adjunct. When something is limited by something else, I gave an example before from Vedantas. When you take a spatikam and you put a flower, the color of the flower becomes sarvavyapi into the spatikam. Spatikam looks blue, the flower is blue. The flower, blue flower is influencing or imposing itself into this thing. I just example of upati. A gold necklace, swarnat swarnam. When a gold necklace is, if you see a necklace, my wife will say, oh, it's a necklace, I go and take it. I probably look at it, what is the gold price today? How much is going to charge me? See, both are looking at the same object. She looks at the necklace as a form to wear because that's the purpose of that one, to look beautiful. She may even quote a different name of the model, so different nama, rupa, all attached to this effect. I look at this gold. What is the gold price today? Because this necklace may look different, but if it is just gold in a different form. Again, a limited way, the example is going to make you feel better because karyam is therefore karanam in some form. Which means I can now relate this karanam plus upati is karyam. So I take the x1, the equation above, I replace the karyam with what I know now, because Vedanta is all about going to the root cause of everything. Okay, there are so many karyams, so many effects. I'm not going to bother about the effects. There's a Laukika science. They can talk about every part. They can do until cows comes home. I am going backwards to find the root cause of everything. Ignore the effect. Effect is karanam plus upati. I substitute that one. So I got now. You see, again, we are defining the problem. You got a new definition of jiva based on the Brahman, the karanam, and the upati. Now we bring back our assumption. What is the assumption? We said Ishvara is the causal power. Remember the discussion we had about Parabrahman, the power of Parabrahman when it is acting, it does two things. It does not show itself and hides, and it shows itself. When it shows itself, everything is there. When it is not showing everything, only Brahman is there. We very easily accepted that because that sounds very logical. But then we put in a figurative power that makes this hiding and bringing it out. And we call that power Maya. Now we see a duality now. We impose a duality. There's a Shakti comes out of this Brahman, Maya. Therefore, instead of coloring the Brahman to be a dual, I would say, when the Brahman is seen with Maya, it is Ishvara. See, everything all this is words. All these words will die one day. We know that Brahman, everything. But to go to that path with intellectually comfortable, we go through this kind of exercises. Therefore, Maya Sagita Brahman is Ishvara. Maya Rahita Ishvara is Brahman. Rahita means without, Sagita means with. Therefore, Ishvara is Karana Brahman. What is Karana Brahman? You must know in my mind, it's Brahman plus Karanam. It is staring in our eyes in front of us in X2. Therefore, we take the equation next. If Jiva is Brahman plus Karana plus Upati, now I know Ishvara has a Karana Brahman. Therefore, I take this Brahman and Karanam, I call it Ishvara. Is it not? See, we got a very limited scope. We got only 3 variables and 2 placeholders, but that's good enough. So now we replace x2 and become x3. Jivaha is Ishvaraha plus Upati. Now you will definitely see here, it's not a very perfect equation. Why? It is telling me perfect, not perfect because my intellectual ability is not accepting that I am something more than Ishvara. It looks like I am more than Ishvara, is it not? Plus is a positive one. First of all, I don't agree I am Ishvara. I'm struggling to find that. Now it tells me I am Ishvara plus something. So therefore, there is a intellectual impediments make this equation a bit weak. What's the time? Okay. Then I look at it as also a grammatical mistake. You know that the vibhakti is not very well done. So therefore, I need to resolve somehow. The resolution comes from the disturbing factor, upati. But knowing upati as a limiting factor, the plus sign is not actually adding more power to us than Ishvara. It is taking away what Ishvara has, but we do not have. What Ishvara has, Ishvara is a controller of the Maya. But we are the slave of our ajnanam, the effect of Maya. So what makes that limitation is upati. Therefore, the plus upati is basically a derogatory state of us going down the tube. Therefore, we don't have this anomaly about the impediment that we are getting something more than Ishvara. But still, we need to resolve this upati. How do we resolve it? We can make a statement, I can never resolve it. I accept my limitation. I am going to be a jiva all the time. Ishvara is going to be Ishvara all the time. I work with this upatis given to me. I be a good person, dasan to dasan. I will be forever a bhakta. Absolutely fine. Be there. Someday, the God out of grace to say, enough bhakta, come and be me, you are me. Or sometimes you'll say, this is what you need to do. Start thinking about reaching me as me. You can't reach, you can't become one with other if you are not from this Vyavritti. You have to be exactly same. If you want to merge with Ishvara, one with Ishvara, you have to be Ishvara. Even a slightest difference. The ring I can wear, it's part of my body. The ring can never be my body. So upati has to be resolved. So we take the tattva principle again, because it's not in the same gender. So we say, I remind you, tattva means, tattva is a functional equation. Tattva of P is the intelligent principle of P. P can be anything. So if you take a tattva of upati means the intelligent principle of upati. Intelligent principle of upati is null, it is zero. It's inert, jadam. Therefore, if I put on both sides tattva of jiva, tattva of Ishvara, tattva of upati, it's fine. In an equation, you can apply the same function, say an operand on both sides of the equation, that's fine. You will get what? Jiva tattvam equals Ishvara tattvam. Upati is gone. See, we resolve the equation now. We got rid of upati, but we come with this equation. Jiva Tattvam is same as Ishvara Tattvam. Before that, what we had, Jiva Tattvam is Purnam, Ishvara Tattvam is Purnam, the two different things. We had a problem because how can be two Purnams? Here we are coming to the conclusion, Jiva Tattvam is Ishvara Tattvam. That means we don't need to worry about the impossibility of two infinites. It is basically talking about just only one thing. It is like, so, the dog that you saw me walking in the park, that's the same dog. So that dog and this dog is not two different things. So that and this are actually showing me the same thing. It limited in space and time because of duality. That means the mantra is so far telling me that this and that is pointing to Jiveshwara Aikyam. Tattvamasi, Aham Brahmasmi. Okay. I'm sort of there, but the next sentence needs to show that this is the case, that each is a Brahman. Now, we did all this for the which equation? Jivaha is Purnam. Then we took Jiva, what is Jiva, and come to this statements. Same way you can do an exercise for the other part of the variable. Ishvaraha is Purnam. Then Ishvaraha is Brahman plus Karanam. Then you do the same way, you do the Tattvartham for it. Karanam becomes Upati, it'll be gone. What is the Ishvara Upati? It's Maya. It's gone. Therefore, you get the same thing. Ishvara Tattvam is Brahman. So you take either equation, same logic, you come to the two equations. Jiva Tattvam is Brahman. Ishvara Tattvam is Brahman. Now we resolved. If Ishvara Tattvam is Brahman, we know that is same as Jiva Tattvam. So Jiva Tattvam is Brahman. Brahman means Purnam. That is what stated there. Therefore, everything is Purnam. So you may not realize it, but you acknowledge it as logically it is right. Realization has got a long penance we need to do. Still this upati, we need to resolve it completely. For that, so far we saw Siddhanta Vakya. Everything is Siddhanta. It takes this. So we just prove it. Here it gives you a Sadhana Vakya. Sadhana means all this is you logically understood. Now you need to really realize it. So I'm going to give you Sadhana. The realization means 100% knowing that is the truth and being a nishtha in it. For that you need to do sadhana. Sadhana needs Guru Vakya, Shastra Vakya, Satsanga Sambandha. So all that you need. So what is the Sadhana Vakya is giving here is Purnasya Purnam Adaya. Remove this one. So what does it mean when the Purnam is taken off from the Purnam? Again, the Vachyartham is not helping us. So we need to go to the Lakshyartham. So here the Lakshyartham is very important. This is where I think we take the Guru Vakyas, and Shankara eloquently explains this. Here the Purnam here, this is Sadhana Vakyam, right? Sadhana means you have to do. Therefore it is about us. Therefore it's a Jiva Vakyam. Here, Purnasya Purnam Adaya. The first Purnasya and the Purnam. So here the Jiva Tattvam is taken. So in the Purnam here is Jiva. In the Jiva, if you take out the Purna Tattvam, the second Purnam is Purna Tattvam. So from the Jiva, the first Purnam is Jiva. Purnasya means from the Jiva, that means from the Jiva, from the Jiva equation. Purnam Adaya, when you remove the Purna Tattvam. What does it say? It says, therefore, go and analyze yourself. You can't understand Jiva is limitless, Jiva is Purnam. Go and learn and understand Jiva Vicharam. What we did in the Tattva Bodha in a very simple way, in an elementary way to understand this. When you do the Jiva Vicharam, you are able to see that you can be composed of number of elements. You group into Atma and Anatma. And from that, take off the Purnam. So from the Purnam is from the Jiva. Take the Purnam means take the Purna Tattvam. So in the Atma Anatma Vicharam, after you're done, take means what? Here you're not taking physically away. Take means your focus become that what you are isolating it. I know I am this Annamaya Kosha, Pranamaya Kosha, Manomaya Kosha, Sthula Sarira, Sukshma Sarira. Imagine if you have taken the equation instead of Jiva, if you taken a Jagat, you'll be talking about what? Sthula Prabhanja, Sukshma Prabhanja, Karna Prabhanja. Exactly same. The scale is different. One is micro, one is macro. So we are taking the microcosm. So therefore, when I analyze myself, and then I take out the Purnam, when I take out the Purnam, okay, I understand. So this is a particular sadhana vakyam. It's nothing to do with the Ishvara, it's about Jiva. Okay, what happened? What is left? It's asking you. Say nothing is left. If you just take a Vashyartham, if you take from Jiva the Jiva, nothing is left. Or if you go by these equations, no, I'm more scientific. I go by the equation. It is Upati is there. Therefore, you will say Upati is left. Is it not? If you go logically, you see Upati is the equation. But if Upati is still hanging around with us, we can never reach Ishvara. Because Ishvara has no Upati. Then he cannot be Brahma. Therefore, this Upati is something which is like a Shaniyan, way to get rid of it. Is it possible? So the Advaita Vedanta say, yes, Upati is Mithya. Mithyatvam. You should ring your bell because we talked about it before. I'm not going to go back to what is Mithya. So this is aided by the last sentence. Purnam eva visishyate. So here, from the Purnam, when the Purnam is taken, what remains is Purnam alone. What does it say? From the Jiva, I analyzed it and take that Purnatvam from Jiva. This, the intelligent principles of the Jiva, the conscious principle of Jiva, are the Atma Tattvam of Jiva. I focus on that one. It says, Purnam was avasishyate, eva should be avasishyate. That alone remains. What happened? Upati is Mithya, is gone. Therefore, it is now telling you this realization is possible when you give up the Upati. Anything that is temporal in nature, when it is gone, you become Paripurnam. So what remains is your Jiva Tattvam only, Mithya. So then the question comes in, okay, that means this body is my upati, I know it. So only when the body is gone, I can attain Brahman, I can be one with Brahman. The equation is only valid when I am dead, Videha Mukti. Yes, that is Paripurnatma happens. But we also have the bonus because we have Jivan Mukti. Giving up doesn't mean physically give up, because the physicality is temporal. There's nothing to give, nothing to take. So for the others who are not a mukta, others, the body still hangs them. Therefore, as long as upati is there, you can't realize this equation, you can't be a Brahman. Therefore, we treat him as another human being, maybe a bit of a crazy fellow, he's jnani, he's going around. It's for others. But for him, upati doesn't exist. Therefore, this Purnatvam is very much possible as Jivan Mukta. So for him, it's completely proven that yes, it is. Now imagine if you need to do the same exercise for Ishvara. You see, we only did for Jiva now. If you take Ishvara as Purnam, you go through it, you very easily will come to this, because Ishvara's case, Upati is not there. Upati is in his control. It abides in him. If everything is gone, is it in Shunyam? Nothing is there. That is where Buddhists gone into a wrong track. They were so much with Advaita Vedanta, but Buddhists thought if everything is gone, isn't it Shunyam? Because you can take out zero from zero. Zero minus zero is zero. Therefore, it meets this kind of a paradoxical statement. Therefore, it speaks Shunyam, nothing there. No, Shunyam is Purnam. Everything comes from nothing. That means it's not nothing is there, it is everything. All infinite potential is there. Zero is everything. Infinite is everything. The perspectives are different. When all absorbed, it is Shunyam. When all revealed, it's Purnam. What is absorbed and what is revealed is the Mithyatvam. And who is making this hiding and releasing it is the Shakti of Brahman, which is Maya. Therefore, the intelligent principle is Satyatvam. Rest is Mithya. Therefore, Satchit Anandam Brahmam, Sarvam Brahmamayam. Therefore, this slogan is not, it is, why can't it just say Sarvam Brahmamayam? We would happily sing this song. Sadashiva Brahmadal Padilkar, beautiful song, you sing it, enjoys us musically. You forget the meaning of it. Therefore, to make us go through this process, like yesterday we had this discussion about Tirtha Yatra, by going through the penance of hurting yourself, you know something more. So taxing your brain with this equation, you know this. Therefore, our perspective has to change. So what is our perspective? I'm going to take 5 more minutes, if you don't mind, so that it comes to a conclusion. So the confusion, because we have what's called Abhasha Drishti. Abhasha means what? Apparent. We should move from the Abhasha Drishti to Vastu Drishti, or the substantive part of it. We see the gold chain, gold bangles, everything objects we see. We forget to see the gold. It's just an example, right? So therefore, what is emerging out is Mithya, forms and Rupa. The whole world is on this. Of course, we should deal with this, enjoy the life, but we should slowly move away from that view to the substantive part of the view. In other words, what is submerged should emerge. What emerged should submerged. What is emerged called Viseshana. Viseshana means form, norm, rupa. Samanyam is the fundamental ground of it. So the Atma, Brahman should emerge in our life, in our thinking. We still deal with this external world, but we have to have this kind of a switch in our focus. That focus will lead to Sarvam Sampurnam. Sarvam Brahmam. This statement has no conflict by any Vedantic school, whether it is a Vaishnavic thought or a Saivic thought, or nothing like this. All these are surpassed. But in dealing with this world to reach that, for example, Vedanta Deshikar says, because the closest one I would say in Advaitam is Buddhism and Vishishtadvaitam. Buddhism, in my very limited way, I would say, stopped at the Shunyavada. Vishishtadvaitam gives you how to live this world and this life happily, to become part of the God, treating God and the world as absolute reality all the time. So, Asesha Chit Achit Prakaram Brahma Keva Tattvam. This is Vedanta Deshikar's quote. Wonderful quote. Chit Achit means Atma, Anatma, Asesha. Everything is left out, all is gone. Is Brahmam Yeva Tattvam. That's all true. Chit is true, Achit is true. Don't worry about Mithya, don't get confused. Everything is true. Treat everything as real. That's fine. For the purity of thought, Shankara says, Upanishad says, Brahmam Satyam Jagan Mithya, Jivo Brahmaiva Napraga. Brahmam is the only Satyam. Jagan is a Mithya. So of the three, Brahmam is Satyam, Jagat is Mithya. The Jiva who is enjoying the Jagat in the consciousness of Ishvara is Brahman himself, Naparaga, nothing else. So I would like to close with that statement. So we will probably, you can say in your mind, or maybe Balaji, you can recite this as the Shanti Pada today, and we conclude this.
Okay, no problem. I think I'll start and then you can repeat each time. Okay. Om Purnamada Purnamidam.
Om Purnamada Purnamidam
Purnat Purnamudachyate.
Purnamudachyate
Purnasya Purnamadaya
Purnasya Purnamadaya
Purnameva Vasishyate
Purnameva Vasishyate.
Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Thank you all. Thank you, Raja.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Wonderful.
Thank
You gave a beautiful definition of
Back to the principle. Back to the principle we talked.